Yeah, and then all this stuff, this stuff we play here, like the ending of the closer, like man, I'm like shout out to Glide. Like it was just so fresh and cool the way he did the 9-lit groupings and like this is some of the coolest stuff I've seen him write, especially as of late. Like it's really cool.
A lot of cold attacks. Yep.
Mm.
Ooh, a bass run over top of the space.
Yeah.
Dude, that was, hold on, go back. So that part, check the bass run, check it into the space. That was really,
Yeah.
that was really cool.
And it really read from upstairs too. That whole moment, like they're playing, and they're just running, doing those runs. Like he totally read upstairs for sure.
Those bass fills.
You guys did it a lot throughout the show, your show this year in your book, but that might be one of my favorite things ever when drumlines do it, where like two of the subsections are playing like big open rhythms over their head, or just like big picture stuff, and you have one of the sections just going crazy underneath
Just
the whole
filling
thing.
it in.
Whether it's the bass line going nuts, the snare line playing some crazy lick under some bass unisons, or like that's one of my favorite things. It's so cool.
It's like a straight up like drum set fill too. Like somebody's just like just like murdering some toms around.
I think I went back far enough. We'll see. Yeah.
Oh,
that's a Brooks change.
Another Brooks change.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting talking point too. You're talking about like you're pointing out that's a Brooks change, that's a Brooks change, that's a Lightsky change, or like things that you weren't afraid to just like, you know what? If that's what they want to hear, then like, okay, it makes sense. We'll change it. We'll make them like it, so they hear it again, and you're just like.
Yeah, like Lights, he didn't throw anything in, but Brooks, I think it was probably the same tape as that one. But at the end of his tape, he was like, "You're doing some things, but I think you can do a little more." He's like, "When you're on the plastics, like maybe play with some other rim stuff just to give it another texture." And it was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." And then it was like that last thing. It used to be just go. And he was like, "Oh, if you could do a shot in there, the guy, like just again give it a little more variety." And we're like, "That's a good idea too. All right, we'll throw it in." And sure enough, he hears it and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's great." I'm like, "Cool, give us more points."
Well, that's something I feel like to hear the Blue Devils are not too, how much you all have won and how successful the Blue Devils have been under like Scott and just everybody that's there, you, and like to still be able to hear somebody else give a suggestion and not you be like, well, we know what we're doing. Like, we don't need to make this change. Like, you're still able to go.
We think it's perfect.
That's a good idea, actually. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Like, you're super like humble in that way to be able to take comments from others that maybe haven't been as successful as you all have been competitively. Or it's like, no, you're kind of playing the game a little bit, which I respect. First off, like the judges are the ones evaluating who wins. Like, why would you not take and listen to them? I'm not saying other groups don't do that, but it's just cool to hear. Despite being super successful, you're open to that kind of stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Humility, baby.
Yep.
Great closer.
I think this is the...
Oh, this is the beginning.
This is the opening phrase again.
So, I guess... Hold on, I'll watch it again.
That center, his name's Lawrence, right? He reaches for the moon when he does those high notes.
He's a freaking bulldog. I was like, yeah. Remember that we would play phrases like sometimes on the field, and he'd do the high sticking, and his drum would fall off. We're like, see, like
this is what
too
happens.
much.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, but I remember after a little while, Scott, we would talk about it, they're playing they're just too wild. And I'm like, Scott, they're literally doing what we've been telling them to do. Like, I was like, all the camps were like, nah, bigger. Like, that's not first, like, yeah. So we
So
did entertain them a little bit.
when you guys, I guess, were approaching this summer and you knew you had an ensemble that was less experienced than maybe you normally had available, did you all take that into consideration when you were like staging for moments like, hey, like maybe we'll like start here in the show and we'll give them an opportunity, like we're designing holistically, but we want to make sure that we're setting them up for optimal success, and like we'll settle into the
Yeah.
show and then really push the envelope as far as like what we're getting read later.
Yeah, design wise, I don't know. We didn't kind of go, okay, well, they're a new group. We're gonna like take it easy design wise. I mean, at least with the music. At first, visually, we kind of did. I know that like the visual design team was like, oh, they don't move as well as we used to. But overall, design wise, no. As far as our approach, like staff wise, was a little different. Like there was just some things like I couldn't expect them to do things that other drum lines could do. Like if they like our scope, like we were, like we were green, we were rough in the very beginning of the season. So I wasn't gonna be like, what are you guys doing? Like, no, like push-ups, like, was more sensitive to them and just making sure that like they were given the right tools and not trying to be like so hard on them. Because again, like they're rookies. I can't expect them to be. I can't compare them or treat them like a 17 line or 2014 line. You know what I mean? Or 12s. Like so. I had to definitely be a little more patient with them as a staff. Had to do a little more explaining, like that. Okay, we don't do that, like type of thing. Like just kind of taking a step back overall as far as the approach, but design wise, no, it was pretty much like every other year.
That makes sense.
Cool.
A lot of, I mean, I think a lot of teaching and educating and working with kids and young adults is just figuring out every group's kind of demeanor and mentality and meeting them in the middle to try to optimize both ends, like the information that you're giving and also the information that they're receiving,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that everybody is mentally in the best state that they can be so that they can produce at a high level or the highest
Yeah, and
level for like that day.
that's why I really what I love about the organization is it's so like member experience driven. You know what I mean? A lot of people think like, oh, we're just trying to win all the time, and it's like no, like we want to make sure that first and foremost they have the best experience possible, best at being educated, just having a great time being there and being in the activity. Which is also another reason, like working with Scott, like it's like we're never approaching a season like we have to win drums this year. We're winning drums this year. It's like we're gonna be exactly what the drum corps needs us to be. Like we are so like we just obviously we want to win, but we want to make the drum corps good and whatever that's gonna take. Like we don't need 50 drum solos. Like whatever the design team comes up with, like it's like that's holistically it's all about the core, the kids, the show. It's never about one section trying to do this or that. Like we are very much team players. Like you know what I mean? Like I've had so many drum lines where we're playing like a really cool drum break or lick or something, and it's like, why are we backfield for this? And it's like because that's what the show needs. And it's like, no, but this lick is so cool. It's like I know, but
I
the
mean,
show's cooler. Like,
yeah, the show is
like,
the whole
like we
package.
had
What
this,
matters?
yeah, we had this gnarly drum break. I think it was in 14, and we were like way staged way in the back, and it was like this whole thing. We were doing like the little munge forward, but it was like one of the coolest parts of the show. But it was like, well, it's back there because that's just where design wise it's working. You know what I mean? It's not meant to be a stop everything drum moment. You know what I mean? So
It's
that's a lot of people don't like. How do the Blue Devils do it every year? And it's like, or are so successful, or like what makes it? And it's like really like there's really no secret to it. Like it's what the secret is. It's run really well. Like it's the only place that or one of the only places that I've been where like truly 100%. If you're a member, all you have to do is what you were basically hired to do. Like I'm here to play quads. I'm here to learn that show. I'm here to do that. I'm gonna travel fine. I'm gonna sleep fine. I'm gonna eat fine. Like all I have to worry about is being at rehearsal and getting better at my job. You know, it's just and it's the same on the other end. Like staff wise, like I don't have to deal with bus breakdowns and things like that. And kids like, man, we got into the housing site late. We didn't get our downtime. You know, like me as a staff, like it's the same as a staff. Like I just have to show up and do what I've been hired to do. That's all I have to worry about. Like, and it's like it makes everything so much more simpler when it's run like that. And it's a lot better of an experience, you know. Like
That's
it's
like
just
it's almost like the chicken or the egg thing that we've had
mhm.
with this conversation, because people say all the time, it's like, well, Blue Devils are able to have so much downtime because they get the best members. It's like, well, or is it, do they get the best members because they treat them and make them have quality downtime? It's
Mhm.
like, which way is it? Like, it goes both
Yeah.
ways. So
Yeah, I mean, rest is a thing. It's a long road, man. It's a
Yeah.
long, long
The
summer.
summer is very long.
ask any
And
athlete.
Yeah.
Rest is
yeah,
important.
yeah. So we do take that into account. It's like, because if we're just running and gunning all the time, it's like by the time we get to Indy, they're gonna be dead, you know. So keeping them fresh is also a big thing. But again,
Right.
that comes in turn with like, okay, we have scheduled downtime, and if we're getting into housing sites late, and then it just bleeds into everything else, and so running it and managing it well from the top is like key. You know, time
Hmm.
management, making sure that like you have facilities and buses, and that way the kids that's all they got to worry about. It's just getting up in the morning and you know what I mean. Like it's funny, my first year teaching at Blue Devils in '09, and just hearing some of the things they would complain about. Like I guess the best way to put it is in 2002. I was teaching Crossman, and I had only marched Blue Devils. Like I had marched 2 years in the B Corps, 5 years in the A Corps. That's all I did. And my like first week of all days with Crossman, and I'm standing on the field with JJ Pipitone, and he's like, "So where'd you march before Blue Devils?" And I was like, the B Corps." And he goes, "Wait, when was that?" And I was like, 95, 96. He goes, "You did all of your years, all Blue Devils." He goes, yeah. He was like, "You don't know what drum corps is." And I looked at him, I was like, I kind of got offended. I was like, "What?" And he goes, "You don't know what drum corps is, dude." And I was like, "Talking about I marched 7 years." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Nah." And he's like, "I'll be back in a week." And he was leaving tour that day. He left. We went on first leg of tour, and then he came back. It was a couple weeks later. He came back. He walked up, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're so bad."
I didn't know what drum corps was.
because because I remember like walking out to meal break. Like it was like one of the first stops on tour, and I like came out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like we don't have breakfast ready, but we'll have some food ready by lunch." And I'm like, Wait, what? What does that mean?" "Go to rehearsal." And I'm like, "Go to rehearsal without food?" And I'm like, what is what?
What's
And then
happening?
going to lunch, and it's like salad. And I'm like, "Is there anything else coming out?" And they're like, "No, it's salad." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, you know,
We're
like
we're
just
gonna
how
die.
spoiled. Yeah. Like, and then, getting into a housing site like really late. And it's like, okay, we're just going to get up and rehearse, or we're just going to go straight to rehearsal. Food truck's not here yet. And like, just all the things that happens, in drum corps, so coming back to teach in '09, and just like, man, like, why are we up so early? And I'm like, it's 10 a.m. Like, I know we only got 4 hours of downtime. It's like, oh my God, shut up. Like, you know, but
So
Oh.
I'm not really,
me and Dean are
it
such
was
good friends, and I remember
that
he,
it was just that generation though, the 9, 10, they're not really like that anymore. Like,
yeah, but he did his first 2 summers with Glassman in '07 and Crown in '08, and then I marched Crown in '09 and 2010, and he'd be texting me like across the country. He'd be like, "Yeah, we didn't drum all day. Like, I was just out on the field with my cell phone and this and that." And I was just like, dude, I'm just like getting my ass handed to me like all day in
yeah,
South Carolina. It's hot.
yeah.
It's raining. Of course, we did have it pretty great at Gardner Webb in
Yeah,
the
you guys have
facilities.
probably the
Oh
best
yeah.
freaking
So
spring training
Cafeteria.
facility out of anybody.
yeah, sleeping in the
I love
dorms.
that facility. That was
Yeah,
good.
and then I remember after a regional in '09 or 2010, the Atlanta regional, he was like, "Yeah, I'm staying at the hotel." I was like, "Hotel? What are you talking about?" I'm over here just like sweating. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is an ensemble that has it figured out for sure on how to just get the most out of everybody, the staff, the members, the admin, just the design all around. So
And that whole thing kind of started with, well, really started with Dave Gibbs when he became core director, like '91, and his tour manager was Pete Emmons, and like, he they were the ones that really like said, okay, like we taking care of these guys, like the whole down, like Pete Emmons, I think had the formula, came up with the formula of, oh, if we have an 8 hour bus ride, then they're going to get, about 4 hours downtime. You know what I mean? Like 8 hour bus ride, they're going to get 4 hours. Like it was always like half whatever the long bus ride was, they were going to get floor time. And that just made all the difference. When you can lay down and sleep for a while, like instead of just on a bus, like that's another
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
that's another
Bluecoats
thing.
did that almost the whole summer that I can't
Yeah.
remember. I think they usually tried to use that formula. Yeah.
Yeah. They no, they definitely do. Like I had the privilege of working with them in 21. Um,
Oh yeah. When you all
Obviously
had the
Rod,
yeah.
yeah. That was funny because Blue Devils we were supposed to do something. Like we were planning on going to Switzerland and performing at a big music festival there. Just staying, we were going to be there for like a month, like rehearsing for a week and then doing like, or a couple weeks and then doing 2 weeks of shows and then like another week and a half of like sightseeing. And then if we couldn't do that, then we were going to go to Hawaii and spend like, 5 weeks out there and do like learn like a show and put together a video or something.
I'll do
And
that.
then, yeah. And then last minute, it was like, okay, we're not doing anything. And we had a staff meeting and I'm sitting on the staff meeting, like, what do you mean we're not? And they're like, well, we're just gonna take the year off. We're gonna do like some satellite camps and that's it. And I was like, damn, of course I was bummed. I'm like, what the hell, man? And then literally after the meeting, like my phone rings and it's Roger. And I'm like, yo, what's up, man? He's like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? I'm like, just hanging out. And he's like, so what are Blue Devils doing this summer? I'm like, nothing. And he's like, and I'm like, I get it, but man, like what the hell? And he's like, come teach Blue Coats. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, he's like, come teach Blue Coats. And I'm like, shut up. I was like, and he's like, no, dude, I'm serious. I already talked to the directors. We got it approved. We got a budget. Yeah, just come out, do 5 weeks. And I was like, wait, you're serious? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, and they said it's cool. He's like, yeah, we're down. Like, let's go. And I'm like, hold on, let me call Scott. So then I called Scott. He just started laughing. He's like, I think it's great. Good for you, man. That's awesome that they're seeking you out. And he's like, if you leave, I'm gonna kill you. He's like, I'll kill you if you leave. And I was like, just stop. I'm like, I got to work. And he's like, no, I get it. I think it's great, but you got to call our director. You got to call. At the time, it was Sean Gallant because he was still the director. I called him. He was a little upset, but he was like, I'm not mad at you. I just wish we could have done something for you, And it's, are they paying you a lot? And I'm like, none of your business. Like, but but yeah, but yeah, they were. I was extremely impressed about how they were run. Not that I thought that they were not run well, but Genevieve and Mike Scott, like their admin team over there, they were awesome, and they took me in when I needed a home. So I'll always be grateful for that
Heck
group.
yeah.
But some of the battery kids were like, some of them are pretty hardcore blue coats, and they look at me
Yeah.
like the enemy. But they were fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and of course they would talk all kinds of crap about past Blue Devil lines and what was the stupid thing you guys did? And I'm like, shut up! Like everybody does stupid things. Yeah, but they were great. I loved working with that whole organization. It was a lot of fun. Definitely one of the funnest summers I've had.
I love that.
All right.
That was
Well,
great.
we've been going, believe it or not, for an hour and 7 minutes now of recording time.
Woo!
So we have like
Yeah,
30 seconds of this video left, the rest of this rep. Let's watch it, and then we can close this sucker out and keep hanging out if we want or whatever the hell we want to do. All right.
I know. Jesus, and excel while playing a role. With
Ballsy.
accents.
Boom.
I think Lawrence Sticks touched the sun on that last note.
I know. See, people always make fun of us for doing that
Yeah.
thing, and it's like we literally at third points we have to do that because the drum set player cannot hear the drums, so he has to like watch
Look. Yeah.
watch them do that.
Boom.
The snare feature rep.
Just gonna end on a good note.
That's it.
Yeah,
Man.
Boom.
It was fun to watch the progression all summer. We said it before, say it again here at the end of this thing. It was cool to watch. It was always like, all right, they're better now than they were last week. And the next week, the next videos would come up, and they're better again. And then they better and better. It was cool. The whole progression was impressive as hell.
yeah, it's definitely one of the most rewarding summers I've had as an instructor. Just seeing how far they come, and plus that group was like, I mean, they were such fans, man. Like they had watched. I mean, a lot of them had had been in lots for past years. They'd been in the System Blue camps watching. Like And so just seeing them like be a part of it and make it their own thing, like to
Hmm.
be that 2022 drumline and progress the way they did, at the rate they did, like yeah, I could not have asked for anything more. Like it was such a great group to work with.
Well, I don't know of a better way to close out than that previous statement. So I don't have anything else. Everybody, social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, you know the deal. Check out the podcast. I'm probably going to break this up into 3 parts for YouTube because it's like an hour and 10 minutes long and algorithm and all that crap, whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, but then once all 3 parts are on YouTube, we'll put the audio file on podcast services for those that want to listen on there. Yeah, I mean, patreon.com, yada, yada, yada. I'm done. Rudy, this was a blast.
Appreciate the
Thanks,
time.
guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for letting me talk.
All right, we'll see everybody in the next one.
Peace.